Bulavinaka, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suiswiki. Coming up,
people may think that they are still minor players. They can be involved to some extent.
Fiji's former Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama charged with inciting mutiny. Also,
you can be someone's hero and literally save a life.
New Zealand's bone marrow registry seeking Māori and Pacific donors. And Whaalongo Tana Umanga named 7 debutants for round 2 of Super Rugby Pacific. Fiji's former Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama and former Police Commissioner Siti Veningiliho have been charged with inciting mutiny. Both men allegedly asked senior military officers in 2023 to overthrow their commander Rojone Kaloniwai. The former Prime Minister faces a second charge relating to text messages he allegedly sent, urging a senior officer to take command. Margot Staunton has the story.
The pair appeared before the Suva Magistrates Court on Thursday and were released on bail under strict conditions. A stop departure order was also issued, meaning they cannot leave Fiji. They spent Wednesday night behind bars after detectives questioned, arrested and handcuffed them earlier that day. Opposition leader Inia Seruiratu believes their arrest was politically motivated. The former Fiji First MP claims Mr Bainimarama is still a threat to Sitiveni Rambuka's government.
Political opponents, Bainimarama and Kayum and a few others, are a big threat to the current government. And there may be political reasons behind this because of the elections that are coming up in 2026.
The opposition leader has rebranded Fiji First and set up a new political party, People First, to contest the general election. He believes his former leader still has political currency.
Although people may think that they are still minor players, they can be involved to some extent, given their past achievements and popularity as well. They still have support, they still have sympathizers.
Fiji Labour Party leader Mahendra Chaudhry is questioning why it took the government so long to deal with the allegations.
The charges and allegations are serious. If such attempts were made to incite mutiny, this should have been investigated much earlier and disposed of, rather than coming right towards the end of the term of the current government.
But Mr Seruiratu adds that their arrest is a good thing for the rule of law in Fiji.
No one is above the law. This is the rule of law in action. And of course, everybody, regardless of who you are in society, you are answerable to the law. And this is happening in Fiji right now.
Pacific Waves reached out to military spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Aroni Duambe and the government's information director, Samasoni Peretti, for comment.
New Zealand's bone marrow donor registry has put out a call for Māori and Pacific donors as it tries to find matches for 6 patients. The best matches are usually familial, but when that fails, ethnic matches can work. One mother that knows all too well the struggle to find Māori and Pacific bone marrow donors is Kerry Topawin. After losing her 3-year-old son to acute myeloid leukemia in 2012, Kerry and her husband established the Dream Chaser Foundation. This is their story.
The Dream Chaser Foundation is a legacy charity for our son Chase, who passed away in 2012 at the age of 3. He had acute myeloid leukemia, and so after very intensive cancer treatment program, we unfortunately weren't able to find a bone marrow match, and so sadly we lost our beautiful boy. But as a way of remembering him, we started up the Dream Chaser Foundation to try and help other whānau who are going through a similar journey.
I'm very sorry to hear about the passing of your son. Because you weren't able to find a match, was it because there were rarely any Māori or Pacific bone marrow donors?
So there's over 40 million on the International Bone Marrow Registry, which sounds encouraging, but however, ancestry, your ethnicity really matters when you're trying to find a bone marrow match. And so unfortunately we've only got a small amount of Māori and Pacifica who have put their name forward to become a donor. So at the moment, there's only 6,000 Māori and even less at 3,000 Pacific Island people who are on the bone marrow registry. So that means that when you're searching, your pool is very, very small.
Why do you think it's so hard to get donors from those who identify as Māori or Pacific?
I think there's a few reasons. I think people just don't know about it. You don't really know much about bone marrow until you're going through it with a whānau member. So, visibility of the kaupapa is important, and I know NZ Blood and New Zealand Bone Marrow Registry do their best to try and push the message out, and we certainly have made it a number one priority for our charity. But again, unless it's intimately in your life, it's hard to understand. So there's there's also a lot of, old school myths around the process of donating bone marrow. So that can be scary for some people. Technology has moved on quite considerably since how they used to take bone marrow from the body. And it's much less scary and much less invasive. So that's another potential reason. And then, there's always cultural hesitation, perhaps, understanding how it works, and the sacredness of the body and taking body fluid from yourself to another. So there's lots of knowledge building that we have to do to talk to whānau and talk them through the process and understand more about how the process works. And we usually frame it through whakapapa, because if you are matched with someone, well then somewhere along the line your genetic makeup has overlapped or crossed over. So there is that nice connection. And when you start framing it like that and talking to people about the fact that only Māori can save Māori, it kind of takes the layers of fear and uncertainty away, and people start to engage with the topic a lot more comfortably.
Just coming back to the Dream Chaser Foundation, how many families would you say that you've helped?
Oh, we've been going since 2012, and like I said, bone marrow is a massive part of what we do. We channel a lot of energy and resources into that part of the charity, so it's hard to tell because we've done so many bone marrow recruitments over the years. And unless a whānau comes and tells us, there's lots of kind of confidentiality clauses around the bone marrow donor and the recipient. But what we have been able to do is, be really proud of the amount of people that turn up at our bone marrow drives and talk to us, and even more importantly, sign up to become a bone marrow donor. And so those numbers, we're really proud of, and we've across the years we've heard stories of whānau who have found a match due to someone who signed up because hearing about bone marrow from our charity. So that's really what what drives us, because we know firsthand the desperation of not having a bone marrow match anywhere in the world for our son. So if we can save just one life, then all effort is worth it.
Just to close off our interview, Kiri, what message do you have for those who are hesitant about being a donor?
Just get talking. Reach out to people like us, the Dream Chaser Foundation, or NZ Blood, or New Zealand Bone Marrow Registry, or your doctor, and just have a chat about it. Like I said, we really need to turn to our own people to save our people. So at the moment, they're recruiting 18 to 35-year-old Māori or Pacifica men. And so, we really need that demographic of our population to be courageous and do something that will ultimately save the life of another person. And for a lot of the time, it's our children. So, you can be someone's hero and literally save a life by just putting your hand up and joining the bone marrow registry. And if you're already a blood donor, that's helpful too. So if you go in to donate blood, just ask the blood nurse and say, I want to find out about how joining the bone marrow registry, and they'll tell you just how simple it is.
Another round of the 2026 Super Rugby Pacific competition is ready to kick off on Friday evening. The Hurricanes, who were on a bye in the first round last weekend, are in action for the first time this season. Games are spread out over 3 days this week, with the final round 2 game scheduled for Sunday afternoon. For all the updates and more, I'm joined by our senior sports journalist, Ili Zatora, for Aotearoa. Bola Ili, round 2 already. What matchups are in store for fans this weekend?
Mula Binaka Sana, another exciting round it should be. Round 2 of Super Rugby, and it starts off on Friday. A big game for Moana Pacifica once again. They have the Hurricanes at the Sky Stadium here in the capital in Wellington. That kicks off at 7:05 p.m. local time. And then the Fijian Drua, who lost to Moana Pacifica last weekend, face the Waratahs, fresh off their 36-12 win over the Reds in Sydney at 9:35 p.m. on Saturday. Then on Friday, sorry. Then on Saturday, the Highlanders and the Chiefs face off in Dunedin. Both teams won their first round matches. And then we have the Western Force, who are facing the Blues in Perth. And on Sunday, the first Sunday match in the competition this year, we'll have the Crusaders against the Brumbies in Christchurch. The Crusaders, of course, chasing a win, and the Brumbies leading, heading into round 2 after that big win over the Western Force in Perth last weekend.
We saw last week that Moana Pacifica won their first round. How are they shaping up for their clash against the Hurricanes?
Well, Falonga Tana Umanga has basically, taken the bold step, and he's made he's named 7 debutants in the lineup that are going to face the Hurricanes. He's made 8 changes to the team that won against the Ndrua. And, he fronted the media on Wednesday and said he has faith in the players, and this is the opportunity for them to step up. So people might say that they have a depleted team that's going to face the Hurricanes, and the Hurricanes, of course, are going to be playing at home and playing their first game, and they have named several All Blacks in the lineup that is going to meet Moana Pacifica. But Tana Umanga says that this is the opportunity for the Moana Pacifica players who've been given the chance to play on Friday to prove themselves. In the long run, he believes this is going to work out for them, because in the previous years, they have had to call on replacement players towards the end of their season, but the players didn't really have experience in Super Rugby. So playing Super Rugby early and playing a team like the Hurricanes with these new players is something that he knows will work out for them in the long run. And he still believes that the players will provide the challenge that the Hurricanes need. And, who knows? Anything can happen on Friday night. The bounce of the rugby ball is always something hard to predict.
Okay, and looking over to Australia, we've seen the Fijian draw a touchdown in Sydney. What do they have to do to win against the Waratahs?
Well, the Drua will have to do 100% better than what they did against Moana last weekend. That's what Glenn Jackson believes. He was disappointed that they were not able to get into the rhythm, and he basically has named a squad that is a team that is mixed with players who played last weekend, made some tactical changes, and added a few fresh hands to the team that is going to face the Waratahs. It is going to be a tough game. It is going to be a tough game. The set pieces for the Ndrua will have to work. Against Moana Pacifica in the first half, they struggled with their lineouts. They managed to hold on to their scrums initially, but towards the end of the game, the last quarter, they were being penalized in their scrummages. So that is something that the Ndrua will have to get on the go from the first whistle. The Waratahs, they are riding on a high after that win against the Reds. They have basically kept the same side that defeated the Reds, and they've just tweaked a few changes in their lineup, and they are also wanting to keep the momentum that they started last weekend. So it's going to be another exciting game. But for the Fijian Drua, if they want to be consistent and if they want to be in contention for the 6 spots later on in the competition, they will need to front up on Friday night in Sydney and play better than what they showed against Moana Pacifica last weekend.
All right, great analysis there, Ili. Before I let you go, how did your predictions for the first round go, and who are your picks this time around?
Predictions didn't go too well for the games last weekend. I predicted the Crusaders to beat the Highlanders. They lost. Moana Pacifica defeated Fijian Drua at home in Lautoka. I had picked the Drua to win. I picked the Reds to win against the Waratahs. The Waratahs turned the table on the Reds. The Chiefs managed to win against the Blues. So this weekend, tough game here in the capital with the Hurricanes against Moana Pacifica. I predict the Hurricanes will come out on top in that game. The Waratahs against Ndrua, well, the Waratahs playing at home in the form they showed last weekend. They should have another win this weekend. The Highlanders against the Chiefs, it's going to be a tough one. The Highlanders fought very hard against the Crusaders and won in the end last weekend. They're playing the Chiefs at home again. The Chiefs also battled against the Blues in Auckland last weekend, picking the Highlanders to win in a close game. The Blues against the Force in Perth. The Blues should be able to edge the Force out in that match. And the big one, the Crusaders against the Brumbies. The Brumbies high after winning their first game. The Crusaders in that narrow loss to the Highlanders. Should be a tough one, will be a tough one. Very close, but I predict the Crusaders to come out in Christchurch on Sunday afternoon.
All right, well, we'll see next week if your predictions go your way.
Yes, thank you.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā soifua.